Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a journey back in time. Far before the year 1492, we're going to uncover the real story of America's first settlers. Forget the simple rhymes you learned in school. The story of the Americas is much older, richer, and more complex than most of us were ever taught. When we think of the discovery of America, one name usually comes to mind: Christopher Columbus. But the truth is, the Americas weren't discovered in 1492. They were already home to tens of millions of people, with thriving civilizations, sprawling cities, and cultures that had been developing for millennia. So, who were these people? And how did their story begin? To find the answer, we have to travel back to the Ice Age. Imagine a world very different from our own. Massive glaciers, some over a mile thick, cover much of North America. The sea levels are dramatically lower, so low that a vast land bridge, known as Beringia, connects modern-day Siberia with Alaska. It's across this bridge, starting somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000 years ago, that the first humans are believed to have walked into the Americas. These weren't large, organized migrations. They were small groups of hunter-gatherers, likely following herds of megafauna, like woolly mammoths, giant sloths, and saber-toothed cats. For thousands of years, these pioneers moved slowly, adapting to new environments. They weren't just surviving, they were exploring an entire hemisphere, from the frozen Arctic tundra to the dense rainforests of the Amazon, all the way to the windswept tip of South America, Tierra del Fuego. One of the most fascinating pieces of evidence for this ancient presence is the Clovis culture, named after a discovery in Clovis, New Mexico. Around 13,000 Tira years ago, a distinctive type of fluted spear point, known as the Clovis point, appears across North America. These points are masterpieces of stone tool technology, perfect for hunting large game. For a long time, archaeologists thought the Clovis people were the very first Americans, but science is always evolving, and recent discoveries have completely rewritten that chapter. Sites like Monte Verde in Chile have been reliably dated to be at least 14,500 years old, a full 1,000 years before Clovis. And there's growing evidence from places like the Buttermilk Creek complex in Texas that suggests human presence even earlier, maybe 16,000 to 20,000 years ago. This pushes the timeline back and opens up new possibilities. Perhaps people didn't just walk across the land bridge. Maybe some traveled down the coast in boats, a Kelp highway theory that's gaining more and more traction. What's truly incredible is how these early peoples adapted and diversified. They weren't a single uniform group. Over millennia, they splintered into thousands of distinct cultures and linguistic groups. The Americas became a vibrant mosaic of humanity. In North America, you had the ancestral Puebloans in the southwest, building their incredible cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde and multi-story great houses at Chaco Canyon. These weren't primitive huts. They were sophisticated apartment complexes, oriented to the sun and stars, hubs of trade and ceremony. Further east, along the Mississippi River, the Mississippian culture flourished. They built enormous earthen mounds, some larger at their base than the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Their city of Cahokia, near modern-day St. Louis, was a metropolis, home to as many as 20,000 people around the year 1200, larger than London at the time. And that's just a glimpse of North America. As you move south, the scale of civilization becomes even more breathtaking. In Mesoamerica, we see the rise and fall of great empires. The Olmec, often called the mother culture of the region, carved colossal stone heads with astounding artistry. They were followed by the Maya, who developed one of the world's most advanced writing systems, a complex calendar and a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy. Their cities, like Tikal and Calakmul, were political and spiritual centers, with towering pyramids that pierced the jungle canopy. Further west, in the Valley of Mexico, the city of Teotihuacan emerged. Its massive Avenue of the Dead, flanked by the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, stands as a testament to its power and meticulous urban planning. And of course, there were the Aztecs, or Mexica, who built their magnificent capital, Tenochtitlan, on an island in a lake, a marvel of engineering with canals, causeways, and floating gardens. When the Spanish first saw it, they wondered if they were dreaming. And we can't forget South America. In the Andes Mountains, civilizations adapted to the extreme altitude. The Inca Empire, though relatively short-lived, was the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas. They built an astonishing network of roads, spanning over 25,000 miles, rivaling the Roman road system. They engineered magnificent cities, like Machu Picchu, perched on a mountain ridge, and developed a unique system of record-keeping using knotted strings called quipus. They managed to govern a diverse empire of millions, without a written alphabet, as we know it. What all of these cultures shared was a profound connection to the land. They were brilliant agriculturalists, domesticating plants that would change the world forever. Corn, potatoes, tomatoes, chocolate, vanilla, and beans. Just to name a few, they developed complex social structures, sophisticated art forms, and deep spiritual beliefs that were woven into the very fabric of their existence. So, when we talk about the history of America, the story doesn't start in 1492. That year marks a collision of two worlds, not the beginning of one. Before Columbus, the Americas were a continent teeming with life, innovation, and history. It was a world of thousands of cultures, millions of people, and countless stories written in stone, earth, and stars. Recognizing this deep, ancient history is the first step to truly understanding the Americas and the legacies of the people who first called this land home. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. It's a topic I'm incredibly passionate about, and we've only just scratched the surface. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Drop a comment below with what part of this history you found most fascinating. Until next time, stay curious.